Hey guys, Michael from Copper vs Glass, and in today's video we are looking at the WEMAX Go Advanced 300. This is a 1080p projector with a super bright ALPD 600 lumens laser lamp and comes in at less than an inch thick and 1.72 pounds. So let's take a look. So of course, starting off then with the unboxing. So overall, the actual unboxing experience is pretty good with the WEMAX Go. Once you get the top packaging off, you can see here you've got a nice translucent piece of paper that says beam into the future, giving a little bit of a hint in regards to what's going to be underneath. And again, the presentation here is very, very nice. Now the first thing of course you're going to find is going to be the charging brick. Now this isn't the UK version, but it doesn't really make too much difference because it just uses a standard USB-C connector on one side, so I've got plenty of those hanging around. You've then got the remote itself, and this is probably the most Google TV remote that there has ever been that hasn't been made by Google. So you've got all the buttons on here that you need in regards to volume up and down, home, back, menu. You've got the voice assistant button, power on and off. The media center is that long colorful key just above the navigation keys there as well. But overall, it's a pretty sturdy and nice feeling remote in general. Next up then, you do then of course have the projector itself. Now, like I mentioned, the projector is extremely nice. It's very thin, very light. It has a really nice weight to it, but it is still quite light, coming in at around 1.7 pounds like I mentioned. So overall, it's a pretty good projector. Now, it's not standard in regards to what you would expect of a projector. You slide across this door here and that's where the actual laser lamp is going to be. So it's a slightly different design compared to maybe what you're used to. Around back is where you've got all of the ports that we will get into as well. And of course, you've got multiple different areas in terms of ventilation and heat dissipation as well. So it doesn't actually get too hot and it doesn't actually get too noisy. Now, the speakers themselves are okay, and we will touch on that in a moment, but just in general, it's not too bad overall. You've got some nice rubber feet on the bottom here. It would have been nice to see a tripod stand on the bottom so you can attach it more permanently, but you do also have a kickstand here in regards to slightly changing the angle, although it's not the most kind of versatile in regards to projectors. So, like I mentioned, the WEMAX Go is under an inch thick, but it still packs tons of powerful and bright tech. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but it reminds me so much of the original Star Trek series with the black and gold finish, and the overall unit has a reassuring weight to it without being too heavy. On the back, you have all of your ports. You have USB-C for charging, full-size USB for file transfers, a 3.5mm jack to attach some speakers, and of course a full-size HDMI port. Now, it would have been nice to have two HDMI ports around back so that you could have multiple sources connected all at one time without having to kind of reach around and switch them out. However, due to the size of the projector, it's kind of forgivable. Now, you also have AirPlay, Miracast, and Bluetooth 5.0, so you've got multiple different ways to connect your media to the projector, whether it's with a wire or without. And the full-size USB port around the back can also be used in reverse, so you can actually take power away from the projector, so if you do need to charge your smartphone in a pinch, you've got the option to do so. Now, the WEMAX Go actually features some of the same tech that you find in some high-end theatres. It comes in at 1080p, which I think is actually plenty for a portable projector. Now, it also has 16.7 million colours and the brightness is 600 ANSI lumens. So basically, the picture will be super bright and the colour will be vibrant and very true to life. The projector also covers 102% of the Rec. 709 colour space, so even in bright environments, the colours won't necessarily look washed out. Now, this does also depend on where you're going to be projecting it on, so for example, if you've got a giant white piece of card, for example, that will do better than a darker material, but overall it still does very well in different lighting conditions. The laser lamp is good for around 25,000 hours of watching, which is basically like watching Marvel's Endgame 8,333 times before needing a new projector. Now again, depending on the surface of where you're going to be projecting onto, you do also have the option of going up to 120 inches. Now that's way bigger than what you may find on your standard maybe 40 inch or maybe up to 70 inch TV. So again, if you do want that big bright outdoors experience, it's best to get maybe a projector screen or just have a completely bare wall to actually use this on. So that's a lot about the tech and also the specs of the projector, but how's the picture and the overall user experience? So everything here is all set up. Now I've got the projector around 6 feet or so from the wall, so it's giving me about a 50 or 60 inch display here, and in general it actually looks pretty good. Now obviously this is going through my camera and then through Final Cut and then uploaded to YouTube, but take my word for it, it still gives a very clear picture. So as you can see, the bottom bar here, we've got settings, file manager, cast projection, Bluetooth speaker, and the inputs. So if we just head into the settings side of things real quick and go to the about section, protection, go down to system info, and you can see here the screen resolution 1920 by 1080. It's running Android 9. We've got 2 GB of RAM and 16 GB of memory, and again Bluetooth 5.0. Now the 16 gigs of memory isn't necessarily the best out there. However, you're not really going to be filling this up with a ton of games or applications and things, and the OS itself isn't necessarily the best, which we will get onto. So you may actually mainly be using this with maybe an Xbox, for example, a cable box, or if you just want to use the Miracast or AirPlay feature. We've then got the file manager for if you've got a USB connected, cast projection, and if we go into here, it's going to show the options that you've got here. So the Android device option, you can do video projection, Miracast, you've got Apple devices, of course this is just going to be using AirPlay, and you've got some other applications for casting anything else that you may need to as well. Bluetooth speaker, once we head into here, it's going to give the option to basically turn it into a Bluetooth speaker. Now, again, the speakers themselves aren't necessarily the best out there. So here we have an example of the speakers built into the WEMAX Go. Like I mentioned, you do have the option with that 3.5mm jack around the back there to actually have your own speakers, which in my opinion I would recommend, but I'll let you guys listen for yourself.
And after all that, he reclaimed his title as the one and only Thor. Oh, spoke too soon. Jane? The only ones who gods care about is themselves. So this is my vow. All gods will die.
And then lastly, we have the option for the input side of things, and this is where you can change it for USB, which is actually only 2.0, and then the HDMI port as well. So they're kind of the main key features of how to interact with it, and kind of different inputs and different ways you can actually watch things. And then at the top here, we do also have some of the kind of settings basically of the actual device itself. So we'll start from right to left. So we've got the shutdown and power options, feedback, the keystone correction. So again, once you go into here, this is a vital part of any projector to basically allow you to change the keystone, which is basically the best way to think of it is the angles of the projector. So if I go into here and tap on left twice, for example, it's going to push it back. Tap it again to bring it forward, push the top twice. So this basically means that once it's on basically any wall, you can, if you want to go in and correct it yourself, although it does have auto keystone and auto focusing features as well. And then we do have the focus options. So again, once you go in here, it's going to be very blurry. It's going to go through the autofocus. It hasn't necessarily got it quite right. So again, you can go through tapping left and right to basically bring in or out the focus. That looks about right to me. And then we've got the user manual, which has everything that you need about the projector itself. And then we have what they call the launcher, but it doesn't actually kind of take you anywhere necessarily. So once you go into here, you've got your apps that you've got installed along the side here. So for me, I've got Netflix, YouTube, Spotify, Firefox is on here. You've got Get Apps, which is basically their version of the App Store. Now everything is free. There's nothing paid with the actual projector itself, which is definitely something to keep in mind. But this gives you a kind of idea of what you may find on here. So we've got TED, SoundCloud, Hulu, Spotify, YouTube, and it's a little bit confusing because although that's where you get the applications, once you go back into the launcher, you've got this option here, which I'm going to pronounce as Aptoide TV. And once you go into here, it basically takes you to a different launcher, which is something that you may kind of be more used to basically. So you've got Discover, Categories, My Apps, Community, and then the settings. So if you go into the Discover page, you can see here you've got all of these standard apps that you would expect to find. So you've got YouTube, Disney+, you've got Google Apps, which also includes Chrome. We've then got Netflix again, and you will find there are multiple duplicates for some reason as well. I'm not too sure why. We've got options for Facebook, HBO Max, Amazon Prime Video, TikTok for Android TV, which I didn't even know was a thing, Plex. So basically the majority of streaming platforms that you can think of will be available on this particular box. So again, it's kind of cool in that aspect. Would it have been nicer for it just to be plain running Android TV? Well, maybe, but at least you can get hold of all of the applications that you need to and just watch the programs that you want to watch. So if I just click on YouTube, for example, you can see that it's installed. It gives me the option to open, uninstall, give more information, and again, just a bit of info with regards to the application itself. Again, 3.3 out of 5, so it definitely needs a little bit of work. Now, for some reason, when I go into open YouTube, yes, the application opens fine, and as you can see, it's actually pretty quick. But for some reason, it won't let me actually log into my account. So if I go across and I go to the sign in option at the top, click on sign in, takes me back to the App Store for some reason. And that works whether you do it from in here or if you do it from the main page. So if I go back to the home screen here, go back into the launcher options, go down to YouTube on the right hand side there. Now I'm pretty sure it's launching the exact same application, but just from 2 different places for some reason. And then again, go back up, sign in again, and then it's going to take me straight back to the home screen. So not really sure why that is. Now some other options, so in terms of like Netflix and things like that, Spotify, they do work fine. But for me, the main thing that I'm actually watching things on at the moment is YouTube. So it's a little bit disappointing that for some reason it won't let me sign in. Now if I go over to the Disney Plus application, this is one that I haven't actually got installed, but as you can see, it's the Hotstar version. So I'm not really sure what the difference is between this and the standard Disney Plus. So let's just have a look. If we click on install here, you can see download speeds and the actual speed of the projector is still pretty good. Click on install, and then it's going to take a little bit of time. It always gets stuck at 90% for some reason, and then it's done. Click on done, and then you're ready to go. So again, you can go into open, and we'll see exactly what this one offers. So I'm not sure what Hotstar actually is. So let's just have a quick look here. I don't know whether it is just standard Disney Plus. I've never actually heard of Hotstar before. The version of Hotstar is no longer supported. Please download the latest version from the App Store. So if we click on update. Oh, okay. We've got different options to update it. Let's just use the built-in version that we've got here. The app hasn't been tested for TV. Okay, so if we click on install, starting up, install. So again, you can see there are some hoops that you need to jump through. It's not necessarily the easiest OS in the world. Click on done, and then click on open. And let's see what this offers here. So continue. Okay, so it doesn't actually look like Disney Plus. It looks to be a slightly, everything is all sort of foreign films and things. So, okay, another application that doesn't necessarily work as intended. But like I mentioned, you do have all of the options on here for Miracast and AirPlay. So let's try those out. Okay, so for some reason I couldn't get the Miracast feature to work. So what I've done is I've attached my laptop using the AirPlay feature. So this is basically coming direct from my laptop. And again, it's a pretty good wireless experience. So what I'm doing here, I'm just playing the latest video from Copper vs. Glass, which again is always linked in that description down below. And as you can see, the actual picture quality is pretty good. The colors are very vibrant. The brightness is absolutely incredible. Obviously, I do have it in a slightly darker room at the moment, and that's kind of the best way to have it. You don't really want to have too many lights going on at any one time. However, if you do have some lights on, it still does a pretty good job overall. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. You definitely want to have this place somewhere where it's not really going to get too much natural light, no sort of windows near it or anything like that. Because again, for a projector where it uses light, the best environment to have it in is going to be a darker environment. But overall, as you can see here, pitch quality looks pretty good to my eye. Again, not sure how that's going to be coming across on video because again, it goes through Final Cut, YouTube compression, and all that sort of stuff as well. But I've done my best to kind of tweak it and edit it to look exactly how it does in real life. And yeah, I actually think it looks pretty good overall. So as you can see, gameplay also works extremely well. So I've got my console connected directly to the HDMI here in the back, and it does a pretty good job. Now, don't get me wrong, you don't want to be playing any fast-paced multiplayer games that need, super high frame rate and things like that. It's not necessarily the best thing for that. However, if you do want to have a single-player game and just kick back and play, then again, no problems at all. It works extremely well, and just in general, it's a pretty good experience. Now, obviously, the console will take up the HDMI port at the back, so if you do want to have multiple things connected, you will have to actually disconnect them from the actual projector itself instead of just switching between the inputs like I mentioned beforehand. It would have been nice to have two HDMI ports on the back, but unfortunately we've only got one at the moment. So for me guys, it's actually all about the picture quality of a projector. Now the OS that this is running, it's Feng OS. I've never actually heard of it before, and you know, some of the stuff doesn't work. So like I mentioned beforehand, it won't let me sign into YouTube. Spotify is a little bit dodgy now and then, and it buffers for some reason all the time. Disney Plus is a completely different app, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. But just in general, the actual picture quality of the WEMAX is still extremely good, and I would still say worth it for the price, just to get that really nice picture quality overall. Now, does that mean that you are going to mainly have something plugged into the back of the device at all times, whether that's an Xbox, Chromecast, laptop, whatever it may be? Well, yes, but again, if it gets a good picture quality, does it really make too much difference? Because again, that's what I do with my TV all of the time. I rarely actually watch anything that comes directly from the TV. It mainly comes from an external source pretty much all the time. And just to round off the overall picture quality, you do have some built-in screensavers on the actual device itself that I think do a really good job at showing exactly what it can do. So again, if we're looking at this one here, the black levels around the side are pretty good, but it doesn't actually lose any detail in the waterfall, as you can see there. Again, this one, it looks pretty good to my eye. It kind of looks like there's a window on the side here of the wall. And then if we go here to this one, all of the particles from the actual snow effect, again, it still looks pretty good to my eye. Now I'm just going to turn on a quick light here so you can see what it's looked like with a little bit more light in the frame. So that's kind of what we're working with, and that's with one of my softboxes just off to the right hand side. Again, if I turn it off and then turn it on, you can see it does make a difference, but it's not necessarily a massive difference overall in regards to the actual picture quality itself. And that's going to do it guys for today's video. Now overall, I think this projector is very nice, the picture quality is incredible, but the OS could definitely do with some work. But overall, can I recommend the WEMAX Go Advanced 300? Well, I would say yes, but with one massive caveat, you would actually have to have this connected to its own standalone entertainment platform. Now, what I mean by that is using something like an Xbox or a Chromecast or sort of a cable box or just anything that can get a picture to the projector instead of relying on the OS itself. And for me, pitch quality is what I'm looking for in a projector, not necessarily a good OS. So again, for example, my TV that I've got here in the background, it's 4K, it does HDR10, the pitch quality is incredible, but the overall user experience isn't necessarily the best, but I use with a Chromecast, I use with an Xbox or something external, and I think that's where this projector actually does shine. If you are going to be using an external entertainment system, the pitch quality itself is amazing and definitely worth it. Now let me know in the comments section down below exactly what your current setup is for entertainment at the moment, whether you've got a really nice projector, TV, or if you're just using your laptop or maybe your monitor, let me know in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you're not already subscribed, now's a great time to do so, and once you've hit that subscribe button, don't forget to turn on all notifications so you're notified anytime I post a video here on the channel. I'm Michael from Copper vs Glass, thanks very much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video.